My dear friends, almost 20 years ago, I had an interview with one of the greatest of all time. Trust me, when I talk about entertainment, when I talk about broadcasting, there's one person that stands tall among everybody else in this country. And people use the word legend. I don't want to call him a legend because this man was greater than a legend. This man was a monumental pillar when it comes to entertainment and talk shows. Let me tell you a short story. As I was growing up, long ago, I think this is somewhere in the 1970s, early 70s, 71, 72, 3 there. He was my role model. I adored him. I worshipped him. And the funny thing is this, even at that time, I kept saying, wow, one day I want to be like him. It's amazing. And it is so surreal that somebody that I loved and I practically worshipped, I was obsessed with, he passed away, and it was so surreal that I was chosen to be the MC for his funeral. It is the 25th of June, and yes, today was the funeral service of Mike EGHAN. Amazing guy. I say he was the most captivating person I knew in broadcasting. And I stood on his shoulders to become who I am today. Let me tell you something. When I introduced a show long ago called TGIF, Thank God It's Friday, every interview I was on that they asked me, where did you get this idea from? I said, this idea came from the time when I was much younger and I was enjoying the Mike EGHAN show on TV. So in a sense, the Mike EGHAN show gave birth to TGIF. And TGIF, if I should brag, I think was one of the most undisputedly hottest shows on Ghana television. And yes, before TGIF, there was the Mike EGHAN show. Mike EGHAN, we had his funeral service today, like I said. And as a tribute to him, I did a few interviews with him. But the first one I did, that was almost 20 years ago. I did my first interview with Mike EGHAN. So today, for the first time, folks, and you realize that this was almost 20 years ago. And let me tell you something. If you have never seen me in a suit before, this is your chance for seeing me in a suit. I wore a suit on that day almost 20 years ago because I was going to interview my role model and the legend and the pillar of broadcasting, Mr. Mike EGHAN, who today was his funeral service. So folks, please sit back, go all the way back to almost 20 years ago, to the time that KSM Michel Suto, I wanted to look good to talk to my role model. So sit back and enjoy the interview I did with the icon and pillar of broadcasting and entertainment. We call him the Magnificent Emperor. Ladies and gentlemen, my chat with ME.
One day, I'm telling you, one day when I finish this business and somebody else is sitting here doing TGI or whatever they choose to call it, I'd like to come here as a guest to tell them about how I used to do it back in the day. Today, I am telling you, I have a guest who is going to come and tell us how he used to do it. Before KSM, there was the Magnificent Emperor. Who am I talking about? This man took Ghana radio by storm, took television by storm. His show was so captivating. Every time it was on, the whole nation was gathered around it. Who am I talking about? The Magnificent Emperor himself. TGF, a warm round of applause for the mighty Emperor, Mike EGHAN! Welcome to the show! Good to see you, my brother. All right. Yeah. Whoa. Listen to this, folks. 30 years ago, I was watching a program on television called The Mike EGHAN Show, and I said, wow, one day I'd like to be like this man. He was dynamic, he just was captivating, 30 years later, today I'm doing TGI, and guess what? He's my guest, the Emperor Mike Egan. Mike, first, I was watching you 30 years ago, man. And here you are, you look just like, what, 5 years older than me? I mean, seriously.
But let me say that I'm very happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me. Nice surroundings, a lot of lights, cameras, audience, and young, handsome man ready to talk to me.
Thanks for the compliment.
Yeah, 30 years ago, I was growing, and I'm still growing. I think in a few months' time, I should be hitting, is it 70? I should be 70.
Wow.
In March next year.
Wow. You're a good-looking man. You're a good-looking man.
Well, credit to my father. He knew how to do it.
What did he do?
My mother has to tell you.
Yeah, but Mike, seriously, I heard some stories about your father, about how strict he was in terms of discipline. And is this a result of some of the discipline? I mean,
I should think so, but my father was a disciplinarian. He believed in respecting authority. He believed in being principled. He believed in showing people humility. And an interesting story that I experienced when I was growing up is that each time, and we had, my father was promoted from a junior officer, he became what they call the European appointment. He was given a European appointment.
this is back in the colonial days?
Colonial days,
Yeah.
before independence. So when you reach that stage in your career, you are given a bungalow, you are given gardeners, and you are given staff to take care of you. And my father had risen to the top there. And we had a telephone. Telephone wasn't common in those days like today. Even 12-year-old kids have mobile phones. And each time my father had a call, and he sat behind the telephone and spoke to the other person at the other end, you can tell he's talking to another colleague, a Ghanaian or a Gold Coaster. But if his boss rang or any white man rang, the old man would get up, put one hand behind him, the telephone in his hand, and all you hear is, yes, sir, I'll do, sir, yes, sir. He doesn't even say no, sir. It doesn't matter what the person says, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. And this is how he brought us all up, to respect authority and show humility.
Wow. was he around in the days when you were the magnificent emperor?
Oh, this was long before I grew up.
Long before you grew up, yeah.
I was then a schoolboy in my elementary school. Then I grew up and I went to secondary school. And my father actually wanted me to be a banker. So soon after secondary school, he found me a job with Barclays Bank. And that's why I was when I branched into radio. And that's another story altogether.
Oh, so you were in the bank before you came into radio?
I was in the bank.
Wow.
I was in the bank for about 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. Mike, casting your mind back, back in the days of radio, when you started radio, before you went to UK, how was it like? You did a little bit of radio before you went to UK and then came back.
Yeah.
And we'll take it from where you came back, because that's when the bank started.
Well, my entry into the radio world was by accident. Even though I have always wanted to be a broadcaster, and this also goes back to my father. He was forever listening to the BBC. Those days we had that little box called the redivision box. And he was always listening to the BBC, the news and sports. And I would always steal the chance to listen to some music programs. There was Geraldo, his orchestra, there was Victor Sylvester, and many other groups that were playing. And credit also goes to my late brother, Ben Egan, who also ended up as a broadcaster. He had a vocal group called the Radio Melodians. And they were one of the first groups that used their voices to sing and complement what they were doing, singing. And they were known as the Radio Melodians. And my brother's musical name was Benny Bendrus. So during those days, he would always listen to radio and participate in programs. And I would always follow my brother. But there was an occasion that Leo Rabi Williams, who was then the head of entertainment in broadcasting, had started a program called the Guitar Club, which was a group of guitarists with the drums and bass who play jazz music. There was one club in Accra, and I think Mr. Ralph Quist, who is still alive, was a member of the group. And there was another one in Kumasi, which was led by a Scorpion Mensah, also a guitarist. But I felt strongly that Takoradi, Western region, had the best 2 guitarists that Ghana has ever had. So my saying of the best comes from the West goes back many, many years. So I got these guys together. I had Tricky Johnson. Those who are old enough to remember will know Tricky Johnson, guitarist. He played for Tempo's band before he died. Bebop Agre and Ray Ellis. I don't know if you've ever heard about Ray Ellis, a pianist, fantastic pianist. Yeah. And Tom Ado was the drummer. They were playing for the Broadway dance band in Takoradi. So I got them together and we rehearsed for about 2 months. Then I wrote to Leo Robbie Williams to come and hear us. He came to Takoradi, he heard it, and he recorded. And the interesting thing here is that all those who played in the group were given 3 guineas each. 3 guineas, 3 pounds, 3 shillings.
Oh, 3 guineas?
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was Guinness.
Did you ever see shillings in your life?
Yes.
It was 10 pounds and shillings.
Yeah,
so they
were
were 3 pounds, 3 shillings.
Yeah.
And I wasn't paid anything, even though I was the one who spent my money and my time to organize them. And they laughed at me. But the bottom line is that at the end of it, Leo came back to record another session of ours and also wanted to record Radio Dance Time, which was a live band with live audience dancing. And fortunately for me that day, the one that Leo would normally use had traveled out of Takoradi. So Leo asked me to be MC for the occasion. That was my big break. I spent about 2 hours on the beach screaming and yelling the things that I would like to say.
Do you remember what you said?
I wouldn't repeat them today. But at the end of it, the program was recorded. They brought it to Accra. It was edited and broadcast. This was on a Saturday. The Monday morning, I had a call from Accra, Leo asking me to come to Accra and join broadcasting.
Wow.
And I dashed it. Here again, there's another interesting twist to the story. You know, mothers are always very close to their kids. My father wanted me to be a banker. I wanted to be a broadcaster. So I told my mom, this is what's happening. I'm going to go to Accra. Don't tell the old man. So I jumped on a bus, came to Accra, and started working. For 3 days, my father hadn't found me, so he kept asking, where is the boy? Eventually, he found that I was in Accra. He asked my elder uncle to drive to Accra, send me back to Takoradi. The next morning, he took me to the bank and profusely apologized to the bank manager for my naughty behavior. But the bank manager had known me to be a very lively person. Even at the bank, I was always singing and dancing and cracking jokes here. So he told my father, I've looked at your boy. I think broadcasting is his career. I'll let him go.
Wow.
I'll give him 3 months' salary. If it doesn't work out, he can come back. And I've told you already, my father doesn't know how to say no to a white man.
Oh, okay.
So because the white man said he would let me go.
That was fine. Yes, sir.
That was my passport to Accra, and I started working with GBC.
Well, the time that you were, the 3 days absence, and was asking your mother, where is he? What excuse did your mother give him? Do you know?
I think she kept saying he didn't know where I was. Eventually, she was the one who told my father.
Yeah.
But I think early stages, he had to deny knowledge of my whereabouts.
Yeah.
And I came to Accra and started working. For about 2 years, I was not on the payroll of GBC. I was considered an artist, guest artist. And I got paid for what I did. And we did programs like High Live Music. And one of the first programs that I did was Jazz for the Forces. This was when Ghanaian forces were in the Congo fighting to help Lumumba gain independence. And GBC had tailored certain programs
for them?
For the forces there. Request program for the forces, Jazz for the Forces.
They could hear it there?
They could hear it from there.
Really?
And High Life for the Forces. And not only that, we could also get them to send messages to their wives and relations back home in Ghana.
And so how long did you stay before you went to the UK?
Oh, I joined broadcasting in 61, and I didn't leave until 65. 65, I left to work with the VRA, Volta River Authority, because my good friend Peter Myers, who also died not too long ago, had left GBC. In fact, he was the one who took us through the rudiments of broadcasting.
Peter Myers with BBC?
He was with BBC. He left Ghana, GBC.
Yeah.
He started his career as a broadcaster here in Ghana, went to the BBC and started the Good Morning Africa, which is now a Network Africa. He started it all. Peter had left. My twin brother, David Labi, had also left to join Ghana film industry, and I was alone there, and I felt a bit lonely. So I also found myself with VRA in charge of the entertainment programs. And I worked there for about a year and a half. Then I left for Britain.
Another interesting story that I picked up about your father that I think I should ask now. No medication?
Yes, he was a staunch Christian and belonged to the sector that is known as Chirbentua. But they were known as the first century gospel. They did not believe in medication whatsoever, not even aspirin or aspro or paracetamol.
No medication?
No medication whatsoever. If my father got ill or any of us got ill, just prayers and water. Prayers and water. And I didn't have any medical attention until I was about 22 when I was working with VRE. And I got caught up with malaria, severe malaria. I was delirious. And my staff carried me. I didn't want to go to hospital, but my staff were so worried that they carried me to the hospital. And after...
And that was the first time in your life you took any medication?
I was given injection and all that, but as soon as I got a little better, I ran away. I didn't want to stay in hospital because my father might get to know and I might be in trouble.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you doing that with your kids? Did you do that with your kids?
No, the world has changed now. My kids have their freedom to do the things that they believe in. If you don't believe in something and you are forced to do it, you may end up dissatisfied. So my children have the right to do with the things that they need to do. In any case, science has developed so much that on hindsight, maybe complete, total rejection of medication is not ideal.
Mike, about your family, your wife, who's your wife?
Yes, I'm a married man. I've been married since 1960 because I also thought that I should have my children early in life so there won't be generation gap. So I can understand them, they can understand me. So I got married early and started having children.
Early.
And I have a family of about 4 only.
Okay, and
my eldest is 40 plus.
Really? What does he do?
He's into all kinds of things. He calls himself a businessman. He's doing business. As long as it doesn't come to me to be remitted, I think I'm happy.
And then the next one?
The next one is into computer. He's also doing his own business. And my other daughter died at the age of 21. And I have another little one there. So. And my wife is called Dorothy.
Dorothy.
He's been very supportive for me, for a guy as good as I am.
Wow. And how old is the youngest one?
The youngest, 23.
23.
23.
Wow.
Yeah.
What kind of father and husband are you? Romantic, liberal, laid back?
Well,
funny at home? Do you make them laugh?
Yeah, I think you maybe should talk to my children. Every now and again they say I'm like Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
But I don't think I am. He's in a different class altogether. But I like to relax with my children. I've got 5 grandchildren now, and you want to see me in the house with them. We roll on the carpet, we eat ice cream together, we play pool together in the house, we play football, and we fight and we yell. And this morning my grandson was telling me, I'll tell my daddy because I asked him not to do something. So I'm a family man. I like children.
Yeah. Regarding your good looks, I mean, seriously, do you have any health tips? Is this something that you don't eat? Are you, or?
No.
But I know you played a lot of tennis though.
I'm a tennis freak.
Yeah.
I'm a tennis freak. And I have been going to France to play in a veterans tournament. My last visit was in the summer, and I went as far as the semifinals.
Wow.
So I like tennis. And I used to play table tennis for Ghana. And I remember in 1958 independence anniversary, myself and my partner, Juan Jackson, he's now a chief in the Central Region, we played together as a pair and beat the Quay brothers, who were the phenomenal in table tennis in those days.
Wow.
So I'm a sportsman.
Yeah.
But now tennis is my thing. And when I started playing tennis in 1982, I was playing 3 times a day for about 2 years nonstop. Morning, afternoon, and evening. 3 times a day.
We're talking to Mike Kiga. When we come back, we're going to talk to Mike about your magnificent Emperor days. We'll be right back. Welcome to the show. Mike, we're going to be talking about the Mike Kiga show on television. But before then, I don't know how many people in Ghana realize that you did the first phone-in program called Buzz Me. What year was this?
This was in the early 70s.
Early 70s?
Early
yeah.
70s, yeah.
And was it GBC2?
GBC2,
yeah.
the commercial station.
Yeah. Phone-in program,
Yeah.
Buzz Me.
Well, I had come back from Britain, and I remember when I first landed, I was interviewed on a program called In Town, which catered for visitors in town and all that. And I had made a pronouncement that I was going to change the face of broadcasting. Of course, there was a young man, I don't remember his name instantly, who was working with the Daily Graphic, and he took me to town and tore me apart that I wasn't the only one who's traveled out, and there was nothing new that I could do that hasn't been done.
Oh, really?
So that was a challenge for me.
Yeah.
And I started talking over records, you know. You start the record and you talk and just as the vocal begins. And
You started that?
I started that. And people thought it was crazy. I had people writing to me that we want to record it, so why are you talking over it and all that? But then it became the fashion. Then also started thinking about getting people the opportunity to be part of the program that you were doing, instead of just you always
doing,
there.
yeah.
And I thought about telephone programs. I asked the technicians, the head of technical department, and he said that was out of the question. But the young boys, the young technicians there, liked my drive and the way I was trying to change the face of broadcasting. So one of them came to me and said, "Look, I can help you do that." So unknowing to the bosses, we managed to get the telephone thing fixed, and I could phone. So the first program that I did was very successful, and I had Miss Joyce Ayi, who was a good friend of mine then, to come and help me. So with her experience and her ability to communicate.
So she was there as a host?
She was we were hosting the program.
Yeah.
And it went down well until it got to a point where I had done the program for about a year and a half, and I wanted to discuss press freedom. Meanwhile, we've done all kinds of programs, and what I did was I would choose a topic for the day. If we're going to discuss the economy, then I would announce it that next week we shall be discussing the economy.
Okay.
So I had announced on the program the night that we'll be discussing press freedom. The next morning, my boss said, "No way you're going to do that." And I remember vividly said, "I'm not going to sacrifice my 25 years in broadcasting for you."
Wow.
Because he was afraid, this was a champions time.
Yeah.
He was afraid that it could lead into all kinds of complications.
Yeah.
And I said, "I've done this program 1.5 years. There hasn't been any program.
Yeah.
I've steered it properly.
Yeah.
So have confidence in me." He says no. So I said, "That's the end." And the program ended.
So that's why you stopped?
That's why I stopped. But it was very successful.
Yeah.
I had also an episode where my immediate boss, I think it was John Hammond then, a girl phoned in. I think that day Joyce didn't come. A girl phoned in and she was being very chatty. I was also chatting, a young man. And I asked the girl, "What are you doing?" She says, "I'm in bed." And I asked her, "What are you wearing?" And my boss, John, was very angry with me. He immediately phoned and said, "You don't have to say things like that. You know, this is suggestive and all that." But again, this is a point of the fact that in our days, we had our bosses forever listening and trying to guide us to do what is right. So this is the experience.
But that was quite radical for the 70s to ask that question on radio.
You know, you can get away with it. It was a harmless question, don't you think so?
It was, but considering how tight and how the society was then, it was bold to ask that question.
Well, I didn't think about it then, but it just came naturally. You do that. You ask questions natural, don't you?
Yeah, but you had set the pace already.
So that was Buzzme. That's the history of Buzzme.
Yeah. How many calls were coming in on a regular?
Quite regular. I think it was a 45-minute program, and every day we'll get maybe 10 to 15 calls. Not only from Accra, mostly from Accra, but we had calls from Takoradi, Cape Coast, Kumasi, and the other places. Telephones were not that common then, but we had people calling in. It was interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that when I stopped doing the program, my boss tried to put somebody else on the program. It didn't go down well. So I think, if I remember rightly, my boss, John Hammer, will correct me. I think the head of state, Kutua Champan, then phoned to ask what happened to that program. And they wanted me to go back, and I said, "No way."
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. It means that you had the head of state's attention.
Yes, yes. Again, in my few years in broadcasting, 23 years or so, I have served almost every head of state in the country. I started broadcasting in Nkrumah's time, and then the coup came. I was working with broadcasting. That was the
Were you there when the coup came?
Yes.
You were at broadcasting?
Yeah, I was. No, I was not inside broadcasting, but the coup came.
Yeah.
So I was there. I've said in Nkrumah, Afrifa, Ankara, Busia, who else?
Buzia,
Busia, Champon,
Jerry Rawlings.
Jerry Rawlings, Dr. Liman. I served under him. I've served with every government, and I never got into any trouble with them, because I believe that if you're serving somebody and you do it sincerely, even if you go wrong, you could be pardoned.
Yeah, yeah.
And I did programs that were critical of the government of the day, all of them.
You had guests come to talk about politics?
Yeah, I had guests coming to talk to me. And in my days, I had interviewed many, many people from all walks of life. Reverend ministers, comedians like you, taxi drivers, market women, carpenters, because I believe that everybody has something to say, provided he's given the opportunity and the right questions are asked.
Everybody has it. And I take the cue from you. Everybody does have a voice. You're right. And then came the Mike EGHAN show, television show, totally captivating. Your personality ran the show. And was it that time that you came Magnificent Emperor?
No, the Magnificent Emperor was on radio time.
Okay.
When I was on radio, I came back having learned a little bit from Europe that a disc jockey, that's what we are called. You are supposed to ride the record. You see jockeys on horses, they're hitting them and going. And a disc jockey needs to do the same thing, to ride the record, so that people will want to listen to you, captivate them, and draw their attention. So I was doing that, and I wanted something different. And I was reigning on the air. I'm supreme. Nobody else could touch me. So I started calling myself the Emperor. Then I realized that was not enough. So why don't I add the Magnificent Emperor? I'm not just an emperor. I'm the Magnificent Emperor. So I added that bit to it. It became a bit controversial, though. And my boss then said, you can't say that anymore. People are complaining that you are becoming too arrogant. Oh, boy. So can't say Magnificent Emperor. He's my boss. I can't challenge him. So I said, okay, I can't say that. But luckily, my name is M.E., Mike EGHAN. So I say, here is your Magnificent M.E. So those who knew it as Emperor will add it to it. Those who...
Yes, EGHAN.
Yeah, so I got away with that too.
Yeah, but isn't it interesting, though, about that part of Ghanaian psyche? You know, here you are, an entertainer, calling yourself Magnificent Emperor, which is part of your brand. And at that time, they thought you're getting too arrogant.
That's right. Many people.
It was a concern.
It was a concern for broadcasting. I had let people writing in to say that I cannot call myself an emperor because I'm just an ordinary citizen. And I say, hey, when I'm on the air, I'm the emperor. I'm reigning supreme. Yeah. And you can either listen to me or switch off.
Yeah. Let's talk about the television show. Who are some of the most memorable guests that you remember having interviewed?
Oh, I had many people on the program. I interviewed Bishop Sapong and that's why I got into religion too. I interviewed sportsmen, C.K. Jemfi. I interviewed D.K. Poison, Roy Ankara. I can't remember all of them now. But I think the greatest moment in my career as an interview on radio, on television, was when I had Dr. Ephraim Amo to be my guest.
Wow.
This is an old man who was retired, living quietly at Chito in his hometown. And I got my producer, the late Mr. Kobna Taylor, to agree to bring him on. So we drove all the way to Chito and did the preliminaries. Then we invited him to Accra. He came on the program, and he was always in his Ghanaian attire. And in the course of the program, I don't know what happened to me, but I said, could you please sing one of your songs? And the old man said, well, my voice. I said, please, please, please. And he got up and sang. And luckily we had Mrs. Diana Randolph's choir in the studio, because she has also specialized in singing Ifimamu songs. And together they performed. Mrs. Randolph played the piano, Dr. Ifimamu sang, and it was magical.
Wow.
For me, that was the greatest moment in my career for that man at the age of 70 plus to get up and sing his song, ko, 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 he, ko, he, ko, he, ko, 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 he, ko, na, yemede. I don't remember those words, but I mean, it was magical. It was a moment that I really, really cherished. Wow. Unfortunately, broadcasting caught fire, and and all these tapes have been burnt.
So you don't have any of your shows on tape?
Not as I remember.
None in the archive?
Many of them were wiped because they needed the tapes to record new programs, and what was left, it's not like today that you have all kinds of facilities.
Wow.
We record one program, and 2 days later, they need the tape for something, so that
You
is
just
wiped.
wipe it up.
So most of them were wiped, and what was left also caught fire, so we don't have anything. So when I die, you pay my tribute, you don't have anything to play. So you keep this one.
By the way, now that you mentioned that, I'd like the audience to know that Mike doesn't do interviews. This is his first interview on television since he left TV, and it's on TGIF. Hey, I had to put that in, man. I had to put that in, man. Only on TGIF, only.
Yes.
So, Mike, you miss TV. I mean, you were such a captivating figure on TV. Your interviews, your whole personality.
Yes, I do miss TV, especially when I see you on TV. And I said, this guy has taken my job. But I must say you're doing very well.
You inspired me.
Yeah, you're doing very well. And every now and again, when I see you on the program, on the air, I do think back the things that I used to do and the things that I would wish I can still do. And also if I see other people on radio, television do things that are not that acceptable by standards, then I say, wow, I wish I could do something about it. But I must also say that every now and again I do call into some of the stations and make my comments known to them, and I would always add that I hope I have not offended you. I don't know how many of them do take it critically or say I'm being too known or they take it different. But every now and again I feel like if I hear something really, really bad, I do call in and make my comments known.
Yeah. What have you heard that you thought was really bad? An example of bad radio, bad TV?
Quite a few of them, but the worst I've heard was this jockey says, it's now 5 minutes to 8 o'clock, we're going to have the news at 8, I will stop and play 1 or 2 musics. I didn't know music has pro. And then another one was saying that was trying to be humorous on the program, said, Fanta condom. My son asked me, Daddy, bring me Fanta condom. That's not a joke.
I was still waiting for the punchline.
That was supposed to be a joke. Yeah. But I mean, why should you bring a little boy into the use of condom and then link it with Fanta? I couldn't see it. But these are some of the things. Yeah, thank you. These are some of the things that make me feel, wow, I wish I can go back on radio.
Yeah. Would you go back though if there was a show? If I was producing a show called I don't know, what would I call it?
Well, if the time comes and the idea gels and we are in sync, we can do it together.
Yeah. To host a program, an exciting program.
Well, if you're there and I'm there, it could be exciting, or it could be nothing.
So generally, your views on current broadcasting, television content. There was a time that on Ghana radio didn't allow any Western music at all. Yes,
this was in the days of Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah himself, where we had Mr. Tawi Adamafiu as the Minister for Information Broadcasting. And he was trying to promote and project the African personality to the hilt and ban the use of Western music on radio. Television hadn't started yet. So you go on the air and every single item that you used had to be African content.
Wow.
And that's when we started programs like Down South, where we play South African with the Quellas and the other things, and penny whistle jives.
Yeah. So your views now on what's missing? How can it be improved?
I think we are still not projecting the African personality thing enough yet.
Both radio and TV. Right?
Both radio and TV. We are too much foreign orientated. A lot of material is foreign, and even the few that we do here has a lot of Western influences in them. You look at the video clips that we do here with our Ghanaian music, and you compare that to the video clips of, say, America. And the girls are literally naked, shaking their buttocks in America, and back home in Ghana we do the same thing. That's not our style. I'm not totally against it, but it can be modified to suit our temperament and character. But I think we are still too much influenced by the foreign culture and foreign attitude.
And two things I need to touch on before you leave the studio. You're an Nkrumahist.
Positively so.
Yeah. And
when it comes to Nkrumah, I'm fanatical.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You think we'll ever go back to the days of the African personality, the days that Nkrumah was looking for, the kind of dream and vision that he had?
Well, if you ask me if I think, I wouldn't know how to answer. But I wish we can go back to those days, because as of today, nobody has been able to do anything comparable to what Nkrumah did. That's true. Nobody. Everybody's trying, everybody's doing it, but where Nkrumah took us is become a static. We're not going any further. We haven't been able to improve upon what he set out to do. I remember one minister, one ambassador in this current regime came back and said, Uncle Mike, around. Apparently, when they were given the appointments, the president asked them to tour Ghana so that they will have a clear picture of Ghana and they will be able to sell it outside. He said, everywhere that we went, every monument that we saw was what Nkrumah left behind. Either it's working or it's not working, it's Nkrumah. And I think if we can find somebody, people like this don't come every day. If somebody else can come someday comparable to him, Ghana can move forward.
And I also noticed that you're wearing this grand medal honor that you received, and I think we should talk about this because I don't know any other broadcasters, maybe they are, but I think you, possibly alone, is the only one who has received this grand medal for broadcasting.
Well, I think I would like to say in all modesty that perhaps is the proudest moment in my life. And it happened in 1979. I was actually nursing malaria when my late brother paid me a visit and said, congratulations. So I said, oh, I'm sick, you're congratulating me. He said, yes, I've just heard on radio that you've been given a state award, grand medalist for your meritorious service in broadcasting.
All right.
And this to me is the highest point in my career. And I think until I was given this honor, I haven't heard of any broadcaster. I think later others have been given, but I may have been the first one to break this record. I'm very proud.
And Mike is a well-deserving honor indeed. Grand medal for broadcasting, recognition for broadcasting. You inspired all of us, man.
Thank you.
Well, we have to do a song before you go, man. We have to do a song before you go.
With my coffee voice?
Yeah.
But you don't have a band here.
We'll hum something.
You hum something?
Yeah.
What song shall I do for you?
What song can you do for us? You pick.
But you don't have a band here, so how can I sing? Yeah?
A cappella.
Okay, I'll do the song that I used to do. G is great after walking out late, walking my baby back home. I'm
I'm just getting into
walking
it.
my baby back home. We stop for a while. He gives me a smile and smuggles a head to my chest. We start to pet, and that's when I get hair talcum all over my breast. After that, I cannot straighten my tie. She had to bury my home. One kiss more, and we continue again. Walking my baby back home.
And that's the magnificent Emperor, Mike EGHAN. Mike, it was a pleasure having you here, and an honor and a privilege. And let me tell you this, Mike, you are my great inspirer. And funny enough, in Form 5 when I was watching you, I said, I want to be like this man.
You've gone past me now. You can do a one-man show and throw the National Theatre. And I've watched many of your programs. My daughter loves to see you on stage. So each time you're doing it, I lose a lot of money coming to pay for 2 seats to get there. So consider me for that. But before I also go, let me say many thanks to you, because there was a young man that I've known, the drummer guy, Ochema Kunto. And he had a problem. And luckily, when I phoned you, you gave him the platform, he played. And many of your audience paid for him to get his medication. So many thanks to you, and many thanks to the audience
viewers out there
for helping him out. Many thanks.
Thank you very much, Mike. And you're a great man.
Thank you. And we will be right back.
Well, folks, that's it, man. So vibrant, so funny, so active, and that is the man for you, Mr. Mike EGHAN, on whose shoulders I stood to become what I am now. So thank you very much, and this is a chance to extend to his family, his dear wife, Dorothy EGHAN, his sons, all of whom we met today at his service. Stay strong, stay blessed, and God is still in control.